Okay, in this example here, I'm going to teach you how to divide a polynomial by a binomial, but in this case, we have to use 0 as a placeholder to make up for any missing terms that we may have. So let's take a look at our division question here. We have x to the power 4 minus 1 divide by x minus 1. So this first expression here represents our polynomial, p of x, and the second expression, what we're dividing by, is called our divisor. And I want you to take a look at our p of x here. We start with the power of 4 and we end with a constant which has a power of 0. Now we are missing powers in between those two terms, so we have to rewrite it as follows. P of x is equal to x to the power of 4, and we need to represent a missing power of 3. And how we do that is we take a look at my little paragraph over here, is represent any missing powers by using a product of 0. So we are missing a term with the power of 3, so we make up for that by multiplying by 0. So 0 times x to the power of 3 makes up my next term. Take a look, we are actually missing another term here with the power of 2. So once again, use a product of 0 as a placeholder. We are still missing another power here, which is the power of 1. So 0 times x to the power of 1. And finally, we have our constant, which is minus 1. So we had to use 1, 2, 3 placeholders to fill in any missing powers that we had. So let's carry out the division. Start with your division bar. And what goes underneath is the p of x to the power of 4 plus 0 times x cubed plus 0x squared plus 0x to the power of 1, subtract the 1. And what goes in front is our divisor right here, and it's x minus 1. So please make sure that your polynomial has all the powers and it's in descending order by degree. So let's go ahead and carry out the division. So we need to find the first term of our quotient. So to find the first term of our quotient, I'll do this on the side here. We have to go x to the power of 4, which is our first term of our polynomial, and you divide by x, which is the first term of our divisor. And we get a x cubed. And now that x cubed is the first term of our quotient. So let's go ahead and multiply. X cubed times x gives me x to the power of 4, right underneath just like that. X cubed times negative 1 gives me a negative x cubed. Okay, so let's carry out the subtraction. So subtract here. X to the power of 4 minus x to the power of 4 gives me 0. 0 minus a negative 1x cubed gives me a positive 1x cubed. So in this example here, you have to be pretty careful with the signs. Okay, so let's continue on. I'm going to delete that 0 there. I'm going to bring down the next term, which is a positive 0x squared. Now let's find the next term in our quotient. To find the next term in our quotient, we take the 1x cubed and you divide by the x. So I'm going to delete what I had over here. We're going to have a x cubed divided by an x, and that gives me an x squared. So that is the first, or the next term in our quotient. You can write it up top just like that. Now let's carry out the multiplication. So x squared times positive x gives you a x cubed that goes underneath, and then x squared times a negative 1 gives you a negative x squared. Okay, so bar underneath, subtract. So 1x squared minus a 1x squared gives you a 0, and 0 minus a 1x squared gives you a positive x squared. So please be careful with those signs. Now we can go ahead and get rid of that 0 and bring down the next term, which is a plus 0x to the power of 1, which I'll just put a 0x there. So let's find the next term of our quotient here. To find the next term of our quotient, we take the x squared and we divide by the x. So I'm going to do it on the side here. So x squared divided by an x gives you an x. And that is the next term of the quotient. So x times x gives me x squared, which goes underneath. X times negative 1 gives you a negative x. And let's subtract here, bar underneath. And we get a x squared minus x squared, which is 0. And a 0 minus a negative 1x, which gives you a positive 1x. Okay, so you can get rid of the 0 and the addition sign if you'd like. And you're going to bring down the last term, which is the constant, negative 1. So let's go find that last term in our quotient here. To find that last term, we take this x, or 1x right here, and we're going to divide by x. And what do we get? We get simply a 1. So that is the next term in the quotient. So we're going to add a constant of 1, and let's multiply. So 1 times x gives me a x, and that goes underneath. Sorry, I'm running out of room here. And it's just written like that. And finally, the 1 times the negative 1 gives me a negative 1. So if we subtract these two expressions, we get a 0 as a remainder. So there is our remainder, and my quotient is located all the way up here, circled in green. There is my quotient when I divide those two polynomials together. So let's rewrite the proper division statement here. P of x is equal to my divisor, which is x minus 1, times our quotient, which is right on top of the division bar, x cubed plus x squared plus x plus 1, and we're going to add the remainder, but our remainder in this case was 0, so it looks silly to add 0. We can actually get rid of that. So this is our division statement, and that's how you divide using long division, and which involves a 0 as a placeholder.